Do you recognize the tune, Mr. Kyril?
I do not,
That
but
was
it
fucking.
was a bit discorded, so.
Oh, fair. That was fucking hot cross buns.
mm.
Because I can't do anything relevant because, let's face it, I get copyright striked. Uh, Top of the morning, everybody. Welcome to the Two Schmo Show. It's the St. Patrick's Day episode. Kyril, are you wearing green?
No.
Oh, neither am I.
Is today St. Patrick's Day? I can
I
never
believe
keep
it.
remember what.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. March is weird because at the same time, there are literally no holidays that matter. But then also, like, Pi Day, Ides of March, St. Patrick's Day, like, all in the same week slash weekend.
It's a really weird month. Have you
hmm
ever I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is. I'm kind of segueing to like a larger story in general, though. Um, so real name is Corey. It's an Irish name, quarter Irish, by the way. And have you ever been around people who just like to bring up that they're part Irish a lot?
Not particularly. I did know one guy in high school who would bring it up occasionally, but not in like an obnoxious way. There was usually a reason, you know?
Yeah.
But I do
So
know that people like that exist.
I had a boss who was like, I don't know the genealogy of it, but he was like way Irish.
hmm
And like he comes up to me first day meeting me, and he goes, yes, Corey, a proud Irish name. I'm very happy to have you on our side. How much Irish are you?" And I'm just like,
What the fuck?
"Yeah, like what the who the hell are you?"
Time to pull up HR on speed dial. That's like so many red flags.
I was like looking at him. I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you latch onto that. Look at my very ethnic last name and tell me that now."
Yeah, right. I have never understood the obsessiveness over national origin, particularly being in the United States. Like, unless you're like first or second generation, it's just like, no, you're almost certainly more American than whatever other nationality at that point.
I think there's a certain kind of coolness to the heritage of some of it if you come
I
from
don't
like
know.
the non-crusty white side of Europe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, like fucking reading an author who has like the same kind of like ending to their name as I do. Only reason I'm doing that is because they have a similar last name to I do, and that's kind of cool. That's like the most I get out of it. The most I care out of it.
hmm
Yeah, but you're right. There is like something kind of weird about being very attached
Yeah.
to it if you're not first or second gen.
Yeah. Like, there's contexts where it makes sense, of course. In particular, if you're like talking about, traditions and stuff like that, of course. But,
Yeah.
ah, I don't know.
My family was German, and I think this is very important to bring up during an HR meeting.
Yeah. As a German, it is important to my heritage that the Mercedes-Benz sports car has the master race setting.
That was a very good transition. Thank you for that. Is Mercedes a German car?
Yeah.
That's red flaggy.
hmm I'm actually curious. It's one of those things where so many car companies have been bought and sold that I actually am. I'm pretty certain that they're still German at this point. Headquarters in Germany. Yep.
Guten Tag. Or
They were bought by Chrysler.
Jesus.
That's what it was.
So you want to
But
give?
Mercedes itself was still German.
Would you like to give the audience the rest of the context there?
Oh yeah. So was watching an automotive review on one of the newer Mercedes sports cars, and in newer cars, it's a pretty common thing for them to have different settings for suspension, firmness, and fuel efficiency. So you can have like economy mode or comfort mode, or for a sports car, a race mode. And then there's also other settings that would be in that same area of the like the controls for other aspects of the car that you want to change. And for whatever reason, as only in Mercedes, they have a master mode that lets you set certain functions a certain way, and you can have the master mode enabled at the same time as the race mode, and it pops up as the master race mode, and it's should be very obvious why that's not a great look for a German car company with former ties to Germany.
I don't get it, Cairo. Please tell me more so we can not show up in the YouTube algorithms today.
Yeah.
That was good.
So
Yeah.
not great.
Someone had to clear that. Several people had to clear that.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do like a wellness check on Mercedes?
Yeah. Who is it right now?
Can we just like take a look at their
Doesn't show.
YouTube history?
Yeah. Are the Germans okay?
Have they ever been okay?
No.
No. You lose a one world war, and look what it does to you.
Yeah. Well, technically too, but
Hey, 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 the second time they deserve to lose. They had cringe opinions, Kyril.
it's cringe or be cringed.
Listen, the only reason the US won World War II was because we were based.
True. True.
Yeah. Kind of showed up to Germany on D Day and was like, yo, Adolf, you being a little cringe. And then we showed
I,
up to Japan and we dropped a couple cringe bombs on them.
Let me see if I can find this real quick. Just while we're on World War II here, there
Yo,
was an incredible, yeah, I think it's this one. German bunker from World War II on the shores of the Atlantic. Why is this on a stock image site? You literally don't own this. What
isn't that weird how
bastards?
they just like take that stuff and just put the watermark over it?
Yeah. But World War II, German bunkers were on the cliffs overlooking the coast of the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
And they were built to withstand blasts from artillery and the like, of course. So they're pretty sturdy. After the war ended, of course, the bunkers were left there. And there's one, I'm pretty sure these pictures are the ones I'm finding, but I wish I could find one that's not like a stock fucking image. Like, why is that all that's coming up? Whatever. Actually, uh, I am better than these companies, so I guarantee I can find something. Yeah.
I believe in you.
Oh, cool. Pinterest. Pinterest sucks. TripAdvisor. No, TripAdvisor apparently sucks too. Has a picture, but it's not just actually showing it to me. Cool. Here we go. Thank you, Normandy Tourism Board of France. But bunker up on the hill. These hills, these cliffs, are not made of the strongest material. So over the last 80 odd years, there's been substantial erosion that happens to the cliffs underneath them, and the bunker fell off of the cliff face and is now stuck 90 degrees vertically in the sand, just sitting there.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, but it's incredibly awe-inspiring just to see it just sit there. It's like, holy shit, where did this come from?
It's like the monolith in
Like,
2001.
Yeah.
Or should I say the giant Barbie in the Barbie movie?
But very much the kind of thing where it's like, 200 years from now, maybe 1,000, someone's going to find this and it's going to be like, what happened here? Why is it like this? That's
I
cool.
don't know why my mind went to this. And it's most definitely going to make you two pissed off if I start talking about it.
Hmm.
But imagine, if you will, you remember how like Nazis would have like rented out theaters where they would show propaganda films?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like imagine, if you will, there was like a
I
rented out.
I have seen Inglorious Bastards, yes.
Yes, the Inglorious Bastard theaters. Imagine an Inglorious Bastard theater full of Nazis, and instead of their propaganda film, they just play the Barbie movie. Like, imagine the fucking riots.
That would be very funny.
I
Time
would love
travelers,
that.
get on this right now.
Seriously. I think they would all die.
Someone would be dying, that's for sure. All right.
Yo,
Speaking of dying,
I
no,
love it. What?
transition. Let's actually go through the Oscars real quick because we skimmed through the nominees last week, and it's not exactly like surprising who won, but there's been some neat stuff to go through.
There, for like every interesting choice this time in the Oscars, there's like three safe choices I don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah, and most of them are Oppenheimer.
Yeah, Oppenheimer fucking swept.
Yeah,
Did you see
actor in a
Oppenheimer?
leading. Sorry, what's that?
Did you see Oppenheimer?
I did. Yes, I saw it in theaters.
Okay, I couldn't remember for the life of me.
Yeah, and it was fine.
It's a very good, well-made movie.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
revolutionary, but
a
it's
bit
good.
long,
Yeah.
but it's fine.
Like, did we need like several sex scenes with Florence Pugh in that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, but please go on.
Yeah, Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy, actor in a leading role, Robert Downey Jr., actor in a supporting role. Cinematography by Hoyt van Hoytema. Uh, Directing, Christopher Nolan, big shock there. Film editing, Jennifer Lame. And what's the other one? Oh yeah, music, original score, Oppenheimer, Ludwig Göransson, and one overall for Best Picture.
Did you see Gorson's statement on like Oppenheimer and like the humble brag he did on that?
No, I don't think so.
Ludwig Gorson like said something along the lines of like, "I'm so glad my parents bought me guitars and drum machines instead of
Oh,
video
that
games."
I did hear about that. I did not realize that's who it was.
Yeah, I want to dunk that motherfucker in a toilet. That's
Yeah.
just not funny.
Guess what? You're allowed to do more than one thing with your life.
Well, it's also, I think it's a little classist, to be
Oh,
honest, because
absolutely.
how many people can fucking afford a drum machine for a fucking 13-year-old?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very much I've been getting much more into watching Formula 1 this last year.
Yeah.
And it is always exceptionally funny to me to see people point out, like, in particular right now, one of the drivers for Aston Martin is Lance Stroll. His father, Lawrence Stroll, owns Aston Martin. So people make fun of him a lot because obviously there is a non-zero amount of his father putting him on his own payroll for this Formula One team.
Mm-hmm.
And people make fun of him for that. And there's been drivers along that same lines where their family or them give very large amounts of money to these teams to encourage them to give them the seat in the race. But if you actually look at anyone in these kinds of extremely competitive and expensive professions, almost none of them are like self-made, you know. Their parents are independently very wealthy to the degree that they can afford to have their children do things like kart racing at the age of 13 in highly competitive fields, right? And they
Yeah.
obviously have to have more talent beyond that, but it's very much the same way where it's just like you had a huge step up to get to where you are, and to be critical of another person because they have a slightly bigger step up feels hypocritical, at least.
I just looked up his Wikipedia. His dad was a guitar teacher. So it's
Yeah.
like you already grew up in a musical house. There was probably a lot of nice instruments hanging around.
Hmm.
What a
I really feel
douche.
like that, to me, gives even more respect for like maybe Bill Gates isn't like the best example, but people who are independently very wealthy, who have children, who let their kids just do whatever they want to do,
Yeah.
where you aren't like coaxing them into following in your exact footsteps from the age of like 10 years old. Because that's also kind of cringe.
Literally, it says here in his Wikipedia, he was named after Ludwig von Beethoven.
Wasn't even born and they had it planned out.
Seriously, dude. Goes all the way from fucking Sweden to Los Angeles on a, university. That's I couldn't afford that. I could barely afford the college we went to.
Right.
But yeah, go on. Sorry. More about the Oscars, right?
Yeah. I'm actually really curious and I'm going down a bit of a rabbit hole
Yeah.
because uh the Oscars website, I actually don't know if this matters, but I have gotten into as much of a habit as I can to try and start like rejecting websites requests for tracking or for cookies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And on the Oscars website, they have the very typical thing where it's like, this website uses cookies to blah, 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 blah. Instructions for disabling cookies are in our privacy policy. By clicking accept,
Ooh.
you consent to our use of cookies. I'm like, oh, okay, well, they have a hyperlink there at least. So let's go into their privacy policy.
Yeah.
Um, in their privacy policies, if I do a control F for disable, there is no results. Uh, if I do a search for, for cookies, most of them are in the same kind of area, but almost all of them, actually exclusively all of them, are in two sections, which is what types of third parties do we share your information? And does the site employ any third parties to collect your personal information? And then they have, if you're interested in learning about the use of this information and about advertising tailored to your interests by third parties or how to opt out, you can visit one of their third party people. So you can't actually do it on their website.
Data brokers, right, are
Yeah.
vultures on the
Yeah.
internet and how they've just ruined everything.
That's a good of a thing to bring this up as any. We'll get back to the Oscars. There's some other stuff to get to. But did you hear about the car news this week?
The car news,
Where
no.
uh was it car makers collecting data while you drive? Is this it? No, this is old. Uh anyways, doesn't really.
The
New
car
car
makers.
manufacturers are starting to like, particularly with their software, they're starting to gamify driving, where if you drive good, you know, don't brake hard, don't speed, don't turn tightly or turn aggressively, it, you know, rewards you with like fake points, but with the idea being to encourage you to drive safer.
Dude, there's a real thing going on with the insurance industry just like that.
Well, that's what this ties into, because if you accept and agree to participate in that program, they also then start tracking that data, also collecting it, and then selling it to the insurance companies.
Yeah. So like
There was a
say I'm
guy
oh, go on.
who had this turned on, and he could not get car insurance because of the data that was of his that was sold. They just
Yeah,
refuse to sell him insurance.
dude. So I have a theory. Like again, they sell that data, but like insurance companies are collecting it too. But like
Yeah,
we're not using it as often as I think we should be using it because like we use it for a couple
yeah.
of things. I'm half convinced we sell that data for the self-driving car programs as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I would be shocked. Well, actually, I don't know. That would be definitely an interesting question because it's like you know the captcha type things,
Yeah.
how they used to be, very obviously, and Google was open about it, that they were using that data to train their own, programs to be able to detect and respond to bots that were solving the captchas to make them
Mm-hmm.
better.
Mm-hmm.
Now the bots have gotten so good that the captcha information is just not useful anymore. So I would wonder if we've gotten to that point in self-driving yet, where the problem isn't like a lack of information as much as like legislative at this point.
If it's legislative, just give it like a couple years and it'll fix itself.
Yeah, we'll see. It's definitely interesting times, right? Where literally every company and all their subsidiaries are big on AI and automation and all this crap, but when you talk to like pretty much anybody in the industries, they just want nothing to do with it.
Dude, so like we're going I don't know if I'm allowed to say what I'm about to say, so I'm going to shut up. I I hear things. I
Yep.
keep my ears very close to the ground where I work.
Hmm.
Like I'm going to
Well,
I'm gonna share something with you strictly through this chat, right?
sure, sure, that's fine.
Okay.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I misclicked everybody.
I'll say in the meantime, while it's being typed, I have seen, I'm sure people have been seeing. I don't know if I've actually brought it up in the specific location where I work, the company I work for, but the company that I do work for, Perigo, had a pretty major announcement that was going around, at least in Michigan, on layoffs that were happening. And I did want to just confirm that I have not lost my job. So that is very nice.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah. That would have been a downer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally would not share that.
No,
Not
I will
publicly, at least.
yeah, that is a theory and I have a lot of
Yep.
evidence to back it up.
Yep. I would not be too surprised
Yeah.
if that was the case. I will say though, I had to call UPS because I had a package that was delivered to me, or was supposed to be delivered to me, but the apartment number got cut off on the packing slip.
Oh.
So they like got here, realized, oh yeah, this is an apartment building, and this package has only half of an apartment number. We can't deliver this.
Hmm.
And I got an email back, and it's like, hey, we tried to deliver a package that was in your name and was at most of your address, but we didn't have the complete information. Please call our number to, reschedule this delivery and fix the information. And I was like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. That's easy enough. I'll call, I'll talk to the person, be like, yeah, my part number is whatever, and that'll be it. No, no. They have an AI call tree.
No fucking way.
It is I think it's safe to say, the most useless thing I've ever used. Because I do a fair amount of phone calls just through my job, right? Where I have
Hmm.
to call like suppliers and contractors who we work with and schedule appointments. And most of them use call trees because, of course you do. It saves a lot of wasted time by just having somebody pick like one of four options.
Yeah.
Really basic stuff. The fucking UPS system has you speak what you want to have it do. It then has to interpret that and try and fit that into one of a number of what are already predetermined categories.
God forbid you have an accent.
Yeah. Well, even if you're me and you really don't, and
Yeah.
you're saying like package, my package was not delivered, and I'm trying to fix it. You know,
Yep.
something like that. Something that if you said it to a human, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we can connect you to the right place."
Hmm.
It could not figure that out, and it kept repeating back the same, like, because they only have a certain number of options, and it's like, okay, if you already have these options, why don't you just fucking tell me what they are and put a number in front of each of them, and I'll press the number on my fucking phone, and we'll be done with this shit. But instead, I got to spend like 15 minutes trying to get this awful phone tree to function at all, only for it to tell me to open up a ticket through email.
That's really fucked up.
Yeah. So, UPS, go fuck yourself. Pay people to do these jobs because
It's
you're
worth
just
it.
wasting everyone's time. And yeah, you're not giving customer support at that point. You're just not doing what you're supposed to be paid to do. Like, even if you want to do these like stupid call tree things, whoever you're paying to make these is doing a terrible job.
It's such an interesting time in capitalism because like it used to be like everybody would kind of like do
Mm-hmm.
their own shit in house and whatnot. But like
Yep.
now, like servicing out projects to like small
Yep.
contractors and whatnot, it's cool. Like it can be really handy. I have a friend who makes batteries, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he does like the actual design work and engineering behind like the battery case and shell. But he's also
Yeah.
got to like work around their approved contractors and what parts he's going to be allowed to have for these batteries.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it very interesting that we have like such regulate like I wouldn't say regulations, but like so many bits and bobs and like communication between other companies until you realize most of them are owned by the same parent company anyway. But
Yeah.
um then you get like shits like this who build like those communication trees and they just hoard it out to AI, you know?
Yep.
It's like I guess if you're gonna suck, who else are you gonna go to?
And then we get Willy Wonka experiences.
Oh my god. I'm so sick of that shit already.
It's so messed up. It's, you know, I don't know. Maybe the problem is trying to engage with any capitalist AI evangelist in good faith because they're not acting in good faith to start with, right?
Well, you remember how I made that argument about how people who over rely on like bad faith AI users, right?
Yep. Yep.
And how eventually they're just gonna shoot themselves so hard in the foot that they'll never be able to recover or like compete on a competitive level.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what I think the Willy Wonka AI experience was a harbinger
Yeah.
of.
I'll say I have a slightly different take on it.
Okay.
Um, hey, let me double check this real quick. I'm pretty sure this is the right video. Yes. Uh, Folding Ideas, excellent YouTube documentary essayist who did the Line Goes Up NFT video.
Mm-hmm.
Done a lot of really good stuff lately. Had another piece called Entrepreneurs on the Mickelson twins, looking at a current, as of like, you know, almost 2 years ago now, uh, scam that was going on where the idea was that because Audible specifically was so easy to get established in as a book provider, people in like this like 5 years ago were paying people, other people, to write like $5 books as cheaply as possible, then paying someone else through a service like Fiverr to take that script and turn it into an audiobook, and then putting that audiobook on Audible and getting presumably revenue from people listening to it.
That's wild,
Today,
but makes sense.
well, yeah, and it's the kind of thing that it worked for all of about like a month because people immediately realized what was happening, Amazon, Audible in particular, and they cracked down on it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when you have dozens of people flooding Audible with garbage audiobooks that no one actually wants to listen to in the first place, it makes all of them perform worse. But that didn't stop from the like second-hand con starting, where people like the Mickelson twins would now offer paid like seminars teaching you on how to do that grift. So it's like layers on layers, right? Where you have the original scam that is now no longer actually viable, buried under the second level of it, which is this, web seminar series that, for like $100 now, you can make $1,000 a month. You never have to work again, kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's layers and layers and layers. I think that's probably where the Willy Wonka thing came from. And if you look into it, if it ever gets looked into, I wouldn't be surprised just because of how uncreative and low effort that it is. If there is somebody out there selling some sort of bogus seminar series on how to use ChatGPT, Midjourney, all of these AI services to make your own anything, events, parties, streams, and they're extremely low effort, and the actual product isn't the point. That's not the scam. The scam already happened before that when they paid however much hundreds of dollars to have access to that seminar that gives them the instruction book on how to make this steaming pile of shit.
You bring up an excellent point about how a lot of this are grifters overselling the potential of fucking AI when it's just
Yeah.
like it's a dumb baby device at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the reality is that the AI part doesn't even matter. It's just the latest buzzword to get people who don't understand technology at all to click on their ads and
Yeah,
give them money.
it feels like NFTs all over again.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crypto, it's NFTs, it's, you can go
It's
further back than that. It's gold standards, it's reverse mortgages, it's timeshares, it's economic or technological thing that the average person doesn't understand,
exploitation
wrapped
of
up
the
in the
illiterate.
guise of making money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And very fittingly, his most recent video is on a gold documentary that was narrated by Idris Elba. And it does a really good job of looking at, like, why does this thing exist? And, it's because the gold industry is not particularly popular right now, and they're looking to change that by making what is basically a propaganda documentary.
Nice.
So yeah, good video, very interesting stuff.
Folding Ideas, I find to be a very consistent channel and has not gotten on the
Mm-hmm.
video essay hype train bandwagon where they think they can do no wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff, and it's consistent, right? That's the main thing, is that they're not like trying to go outside of their own capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you make he has like this is great. The last three videos, one, and this is like hilarious, especially in the context of YouTube because of how fickle the YouTube algorithms are, and people would normally be terrified of doing something like this. But he has one that's 2.5 hours, one that's 45 minutes, and one that's just 8 minutes long.
Very impressive. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, but back to the Oscars.
Oh yeah. Well, we just had this whole non-creative rant
Yeah.
based off just the Oscars. I'm
Yeah.
sure that's not a subconscious thing on both of our parts.
Yeah. Other notable winners of the night: Emma Stone in Poor Things. Poor Things also taking home the award for costume design.
Was that any
Uh,
good?
I did not hear about it when it came out,
Same.
but I did hear multiple people like in their 2023 like year in review of stuff that I didn't review otherwise that I want to talk about kind of videos talked about it very highly in that context.
Gotcha.
It's apparently pretty esoteric and not the most digestible sort of a thing, but a lot of good stuff heard about it regardless.
I will live with this.
Animated feature film, to no surprise, The Boy and the Heron.
Actually, I know a lot of people who were very pissed off that Spider Verse didn't win
Oh,
it.
I
Spider Verse
don't
is
doubt
good.
that.
Yeah, Spider
I'll
Verse is
say
good.
I would have been much more impressed to see them give it to Nimona.
We both know that wasn't happening.
No, but that would have been like the actual like big brain make people angry move.
I'm happy Boy and the Heron got it because it's a good ass
Yeah.
movie. But like, holy fuck.
Yeah, I feel like that makes sense. Spider Verse is of course very good, but it's part one of a part two thing, right? You don't have the full story yet.
That's what I felt like really ultimately costed the Oscar.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen Boy and the Heron yet?
Nope. Haven't.
So it's very dreamy at times and like very abstract.
Hmm.
So like I honestly think if Spider Verse was like a more standalone movie, it would have had a much better chance.
Yeah. I'd buy that. Otherwise, where did it go for? Oh yeah, Barbie won music original song.
Can I share a very controversial
Um,
opinion?
Go for it.
I don't like the Billie Eilish Barbie song.
No,
No, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just do not think it's good at all.
I'm very surprised that it got it over the "I'm Just Ken" one, just given the popular consensus between which one was better, seemingly.
See, that's what I was thinking. Like my opinion, right, is
Yeah,
that they wanted to give it "I'm Just Ken," but "I'm Just Ken" is kind of like a sillier song in the long
yeah.
run,
Well,
and
it
they're
kind of
like,
goes against the point of the film.
yeah, that too.
If you reward the one guy song in the Barbie movie, that's an awkward visual thing.
Very good point. Yes. I just felt like they did it more to legitimize Barbie in the larger scope because they knew Barbie wasn't
Mm,
going to win that much in terms of like the bigger
yeah,
aspects.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Live action short film was won by Wes Anderson for The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. I have not seen this. I don't think it actually showed anywhere. Oh, it's a Netflix thing, right?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
it's
why.
very good.
I need to see it still. That's probably going to be like, I don't know. I'll see if I can find like a free Netflix subscription trial or some shit because I very much would like to see that. I find it fascinating that it actually won, given how uh, Asteroid City was much more polarizing.
The Henry Sugar one is how do I put this? It's very solid in that it doesn't have like a lot of fat on it
Hmm.
and it gets very straight to the point real fast and it's very meticulous.
Yeah,
Yeah, it almost feels like the whole thing was shot in one shot.
I buy that.
Yeah. It could have been I just didn't notice last time, but
No, I that would surprise me if it was an actual one shot. Just because that's the kind of thing where it's like, even if you want to do the appearance of an actual one shot, just out of practicality and like respect for the people you're working with, you just shouldn't. Just,
yeah.
stitch it together however you need to impose. You can do long scenes that are, like a combination of like two or three longer shots, but yeah, doing an actual one shot is just not worth it in the current day.
You're not
Uh,
the Alfred Hitchcock. Don't try it.
yeah. Well, and even then, 1917, highly rate it. It's very good, and it's probably one of it. Wow, is it like the only modern feature film that tries to give the appearance of a one shot? I'm not sure. I'd
I
be
don't
I'd be curious
know.
on that.
Yeah.
But it accomplishes it very well. And it does it by, not being an actual one shot. It has, I think, like two or three cuts in it that are very well hidden. Um, but it accomplishes it still, regardless.
Fair, fair, fair.
Yeah. Visual effects. Godzilla minus one. Heck yeah. I did
Yo.
hear because this is they had like a CG Godzilla accept the award.
Did they?
I saw something. Maybe they did it afterwards where they had. I saw a 3D model of Godzilla holding an Oscar,
I don't care
and it
if
was being
official or not.
posted.
Wholesome.
Oh, I think it was either posted or like retweeted by the animators. And that's kind of the end of it. There's some other stuff, but I don't care.
I mean, Godzilla taking the Oscar,
Yeah,
very much worth it. That's like
it's
the
very
highlight.
cool.
Yeah.
And that was honestly a bit of a tight competition, right?
Yeah.
Like the other ones seem kind of unassuming, and they definitely aren't as visual effects forward as Godzilla would have to be. But like Guardians 3, Mission Impossible, The Creator, all very visual effects heavy and executed very well.
Hmm.
And then Napoleon, I think, is a bit of an underdog there, but I would imagine they probably still had some very compelling, visual effects to make it all work together. From what I saw of that film, I haven't seen it, but like in trailers, it looks very well shot and put together. So no big surprises at it being nominated there. But Godzilla being -1 being the actual winner is very cool and deserved.
And deserved. He's my buddy. I want Godzilla to
Hmm.
win. Oh fuck! I just remembered. I had like a pilot image for today's episode saved on my phone of Godzilla holding the Oscar in like a tuxedo, and I was gonna try
Yeah,
recreating it. Yeah.
that was what I had seen.
God damn it! I'm dumb. Okay. Don't meet your heroes, kids. I'm a terrible idiot.
I think the only other like really notable thing from Oscars night that we haven't mentioned yet was John Cena presenting an award naked.
Do I just saw that as kind of like why?
Yeah, I don't know. He obviously wasn't, but
Yeah. It just felt like they did that as a hashtag Twitter moment.
probably.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Was it though?
You know,
I guess we are talking
I
about
guess
it.
I guess I don't know. I guess in fairness,
Yep.
there is a clever amount of irony in it, right? Because he was giving the costume design award, and he is both, as much as possible, not wearing a costume at that point, but also very convincingly wearing a costume because he looks naked, even though he's technically not.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. There is definitely an amount of clickbait baked into it, but it is at the same time, some thought happened. And people like looking at sexy buff guy.
Eh. You just made me feel real insecure with myself.
Reminds me there was a thread going around this last week of actors who were in roles that they got exceptionally shredded for no reason. Where it's like some notable actor playing like scientist number two kind of thing, and the terrorists attack and their lab coats and their shirts get all shredded and they're just in like the background still, but they're just incredibly ripped for no reason.
I'll live with that.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. There's one from oh shit, what the hell is that game called? The Alan Wake, not Alan Wake, Control. In Control, there is a scientist. Can I spell? That isn't like a lab coat. Yeah. uh, through the whole game, except at the end, you find out that he is, in reality, just incredibly jacked. And that was one of the things that sparked it was people just like, yeah, who else is like this? Where it's just like, looks like a normal guy. And then until randomly for no reason, not a normal guy.
I mean, if I was going to be in a Hollywood movie, even as an extra, I would
Hmm.
probably try to slather on as much muscle as possible beforehand.
Hmm. I mean, hey, if you can get like the personal trainer, right, getting paid for, take advantage of that shit for sure.
We've got to be living in the golden age of Hollywood trainers
Hmm.
because they can take Hugh Jackman, who's not been Wolverine in a while, and then get him back up to like superhero strength just in time for Deadpool 3.
Hmm. Peak era of combination of like practical effects knowledge and computer effects working hand in hand to make the most unrealistic body expectations in history.
Man, our kids are going to be so ruined.
True. Very true.
I mean, I look in the mirror and I think I'm already half ruined.
So,
Yo,
in real news,
there's real
I
news?
actually have some like kind of interesting, maybe positive almost leading stuff.
Bullshit.
We'll get to that. Let's start off with Robert Hur.
Rob, who?
Robert Hur, DOJ investigator assigned during the Trump administration, I believe, to investigate the Hunter Biden whatever. So yeah, uh, Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed her to oversee the United States DOJ investigation into Joe Biden's alleged mishandling of classified documents during his time as vice president.
Oh, we're going this route still?
Yeah. On
I
February
love this
7th,
route.
2024, Garland notified Congress that Hur had concluded his investigation and no charges were recommended. In his final report, which Hur concluded his investigation, he stated that he found evidence that President Biden willfully retained and disclosed classified materials after his presidency when he was a private citizen, concluding that no criminal charges
You died.
does not establish Mr. Biden's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. He then also cited Biden's memory as a factor, concluding that Biden would likely present himself to a jury as a sympathetic, well meaning elderly man with a poor memory. In response, the White House rebuked Hur's characterization as inappropriate, politicized commentary that veered from standards of unbiased legal analysis.
Such
We now
arrogant ways.
have gotten some of the transcripts from Hur's deposition of Biden, amongst others, and we know that this is a complete fabrication. Where
What?
there were multiple instances where Hur tried to paint this false narrative of, Biden's poor memory because, that's obviously the current cudgel that they're trying to leverage against him too. Now it's kind of weird, right? Because like in any other year, you could probably have that be a pretty compelling argument. But then they just go and lie about it for no reason.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing? You don't have to lie about this. Why are you doing this?
Who
You're not
hurt
charging
you?
the guy. What are you doing? Um, yeah. So one of the main things that was brought up, because these people have literally no spines at all, during the deposition, during I guess be testimony deposition, I mean, it's tricky because it was sort of preliminary, right? They hadn't filed charges.
Yeah.
Biden was asked about the day of his son's death, and Biden provided the day, and another person offered the year, to which Biden confirmed. And that interaction was one of the things that was being painted as Biden not knowing the day his son died, and his memory is so poor that he doesn't even know that. And it's just completely wrong. So, fuck you, Robert Hur. You're kind of a bastard. And I wish you
Whatever
no goodwill.
whatever it takes, man, to get a good story.
Apparently. Is also kind of a thing where it's like, I don't know why Biden has allowed Garland to remain as the attorney general at this point. If Garland's just going to appoint such an obviously biased individual to head up this investigation, why that is an attorney general that is not being effective in their job.
Biden doesn't
I
take it
guess
personally.
I don't know. Probably doesn't, but you would, even if he doesn't take it personally, you should still have the best people in these positions as possible. And Garland has just routinely demonstrated himself to not be that person.
You're quite right.
So, yeah, I'm tired of it. Get him the hell out of there.
Listen, Jack, I've got enough things going on right now.
All right. Now get to the slightly more positive news.
There's more positive news? Slightly more?
Slightly more. This requires a bit of context. I had to figure out what the hell's going on here. But shockingly, MSNBC actually wrote a good article.
I guess a broken clock's right twice a day.
Yeah, opinion piece by Sleeve Vladeck. Going to be quoting from this pretty heavily because there is a lot of legalese and who the hell actually knows what the Judicial Conference of the United States is, right?
It's a
I
judicial
didn't.
conference in the United States.
I had to look this shit up to figure out what was actually going on here. But earlier this week,
Yeah.
the Judicial Conference of the United States met, and as part of that, issued a policy recommendation that would allow for a crackdown on judge shopping. That is, the idea that because of the current structure of the United States Circuit Courts and how they assign cases, you can currently fairly accurately request to have your case heard in a specific circuit court and know with 99% certainty the exact judge that's going to hear that case. Historically, that was not the case. Circuit court justices are anywhere between 2 and 4 of them to a circuit court, and when your case is submitted to that court, it is randomly assigned, or not necessarily randomly, but assigned to whichever one has the availability at the time.
Yep.
Because of the way that the circuit courts have fractured, now you can file your case in a bum nowhere county of Texas and guarantee that it's going to be heard by the circuit court judge for that county. And
You,
it's resulted in a number of the decisions that we've seen over the last couple of years. The Fifth Circuit, in particular, is notorious for their decisions that have been made because of just how flagrantly politically biased they are.
that was a good word there.
Thank you. In the article here, Vladeck points out in particular Matthew Kazmarek, current district judge, Trump appointed, and a former anti-abortion advocate. He ruled that the FDA's approval of the drug mifepristone, which was approved 23 years ago, was no longer valid. Things like that. Where was it? Judicial Conference of the United States has offered a policy recommendation that would prevent this from happening. I don't have the exact details of it because it doesn't really matter. The main thing is just that it has been acknowledged as a problem, and hopefully, because the Judicial Conference of the United States actually has a pretty substantial weight in terms of policy as it relates to the federal judiciary, we might see some actual good benefits coming out of this.
Oh, really?
And it probably won't entirely stop judge shopping, because, Texas, as an example, has 11 court justices at that level. 10 of them are Republican. And, 10 out of 11 is a pretty good chance of a case being heard by someone favorable to your cause. But it should prevent the most blatant of this activity from happening. I was actually hearing about this because of a letter to, who did he send it to? I guess just to the Judicial Conference in general, penned by Mitch McConnell, John Cornyn, and Tom Tillis, asking them to like reconsider these partisan battles in Washington D.C., which is kind of hilarious because that's like what judge shopping does in the first place already. But you know, this is McConnell, so he has no spine. But yeah, hopefully this goes through, and you know, we don't know the actual like policy that's going to be implemented from this, but the fact that it's being acknowledged is good.
Now, what
Uh,
about gerrymandering?
I don't have anything for that, but I might have something for home prices.
Home. Why didn't you say so? Why we chop chop?
The National Association of Realtors has agreed to pay $418 million in damages and will be amending several of its rules to allow for cutting of costs as it comes to realtor fees. So, uh, this is a single part of a much broader trend that's happening nationally, but this decision should lend greater credence to the other cases that are happening at the same time. Um, National Association of Realtors sets guidelines for home sales, has agreed to settle a series of lawsuits paying $418 million in damages, and by eliminating its rules on commissions. This was an agreement approved early on Friday morning. And the deal, which should be filed within a few weeks and still needs court approval, would end a number of legal claims from home sellers who argue, and have seemingly successfully argued, that the rules force them to pay excessive fees. If you compare fees for specifically like closing costs and realtor fees in the US compared to other nations generally pay anywhere from about 1 to 3% of the home's sale price in fees to the realtors. That being those fees going to both the realtor working for the seller and the buyer. In the US, that number is 5 to 6%. And it's basically worked out to being price fiction. And it's, you know, the kind of thing that shouldn't be allowed, pretty obviously on its face. Currently, if a home sells for $400,000, which isn't particularly unreasonable, unfortunately, in today's climate, you're looking at $24,000 going to both realtors, both the realtor working for the seller and the buyer, which makes that $400,000 sale price actually closer to $450,000. Or more accurately, the actual sale price just becomes $450,000 and those fees get included in it.
That's really
Assuming this
gross.
ruling Yeah,
Sorry.
assuming this ruling goes through, this effectively reduces home prices by hopefully up to 3%, if not more, um, and would allow for realtors who are, you know, associated with the National Association of Realtors, they're accredited, to, you know, have like competition, right? It makes it so that who you're actually buying, you know, working with to buy a home actually matters. If someone has a 6% fee and there's somebody else in the same place that's got a 3% fee, it's all of a sudden not that hard of a question as to who you're going to go with. So hopefully that will help on that front. There's also a number of other portions of the agreement that should help to ensure that these anti-competitive behaviors that the National Association of Realtors helped to establish don't continue. So that is good. Notably, there is another lawsuit that has not been settled between individuals suing as a class against, where did it go? Um, Berkshire Hathaway, owned by Warren Buffett.
It always comes down to old Warren Buffett, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that it does.
Go on.
Notably, Keller Williams and Remax have also settled in separate cases that the NAR now joins them in.
I can't wait
Excuse
for
me.
like Warren Buffett like to pass, and then like 10 years from now, like our kids are going to be reading about how much he's impacted the U.S. economy and his very long lifestyle.
Yep. Other pieces of note
Yo,
talking about this. The Antitrust Division of the Department of Justice is continuing its investigation into NAR's practices, including the organization's oversight of databases for home listings, called multiple listing sites, that are owned and operated by NAR's local affiliates. The Justice Department has questioned whether these databases stifle competition and whether some NAR rules foster price fixing on commissions.
They do.
Uh, they have some pretty optimistic, I would say overly optimistic analyses of the impacts that this might cause to the industry as a whole. But, at the very least, it's not going to cause prices to go up. So that's good. But they have some comparisons to like the 1930s New Deal in terms of impact on home prices, and I'd be surprised if it's quite that dramatic. There's still quite a long ways to go through the filing processes for these and other cases to be settled. So we'll have to see how it goes. But it is unquestionably optimistic and should be only good for the consumer.
So, isn't it a little upsetting that they're comparing shit to the New Deal? Because, like, the New Deal was something that was kind of necessary to keep functioning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like
Yeah.
the idea that we have to compare things to that.
Yeah. Kind of feels like that's where we're at though at times.
I feel like we're always like one really bad day away from going to there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You can't see it, but I'm doing a very painful smile right now, just kind of looking in the distance.
So that's what I have for like real news.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit before we went live here about the whole Civil War movie thing that I just don't even want to get into at this point anymore because it's just
Yeah.
like I don't know. I'm gonna wait and just see like how it gets received when it actually comes out because everything that I've heard about it since the like initial poster went up for it has just made me less and less excited for when it inevitably does actually come out. So
It strikes me
we'll
as
see.
just
We'll see what
like
happens.
it's just attention grabbing, you know? It doesn't
I
have
don't know.
too much after that, in my opinion.
It definitely feels like it. Apparently, they have Nick Offerman cast as the president, who is this like a president so fascist that Texas and California agree on something.
That's never happening.
No, it's. I feel like that's hilarious. Is that you have this extreme dystopian fictional movie or fictional? I don't even know if it's a movie, whatever the hell it is. And the thing that people are just like not believing that's real about it is like Texas and California getting along. No, that would not happen. The Civil War stuff, yeah, sure, whatever. But Texas and California getting along? No.
What would it take to realistically cause Texas and California to get along in a US based issue? Not anything like from a foreign government. Purely US issue.
So I think there is an important distinction to be made as to whether we are talking about the peoples of Texas and California or the governments of Texas and California.
The
The people,
governments, because that's going to be the hard part.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, the people, I have no doubt, could be able to get along and agree on many, many more things than they would first realize. But the governments, I genuinely don't think there's an internal issue that could cause them to come to an agreement. Like, you could literally have the president, like, if you had President Offerman march troops into like what would be some comparative things? Florida and New York, and put them under martial law. I am not convinced that Texas would be at all against that. And alternatively,
Texas.
you could have
Yeah.
hyper fascist President Nick Offerman go and put go take state funded control of major businesses in Florida and New York, and California probably wouldn't be against it. I don't know. I feel like there's no extreme that puts them on the same side of the table.
To me, there's only one way of doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
like this is going to be very vague because I can't think of an exact example. But the premise would basically be nothing from the federal government because they both have boners for the federal government.
Yeah.
But like it would have to be a third state intruding on their rights, and it would have to be like something that they both hold very contentious. Am I using that
I
word
don't think
right?
that exists.
Hold something very no, that I did not use that word right, and I apologize. Something very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Think about it this way, right?
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of an industry that like both of them have, but they
Hmm.
clearly don't have any of the same industries because no one goes from one side of the country to that side thinking like, oh,
Hmm.
let's try what Chicago deep dish is like, since we just got the New York slice.
All right.
Yeah. Damn.
I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
It, it just doesn't exist. I don't know. I'm open to being proven wrong, but and I'm sure it'll be a great show still. I think that you know, the best thing would have been to have it be far less specific than that,
Mm-hmm.
especially with how the focus of it is on these photographers, not necessarily the war itself so explicitly. Just leave it be vague. Excuse me, but I don't know.
I don't get it.
I'm not convinced.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing, right? Is that the director Alex Garland? I just we're just getting into it. South by Southwest during a panel talking about Civil War, specifically said that the Texas and California alliance was formed out of necessity in response to an oppressive overreach by the government and president.
Both of them
And
love government overreach.
right, as long as it's overreach of the right people.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It would have to be like the only way that makes sense is something that would have to be so cartoonishly evil that it would be immersive breaking on its own.
Here's what you do, right?
Like, yeah.
You take the governor of Texas, right? You take the
Hmm.
governor of California. Both their kids happen to go to the same college, and it's out of state. For sake of argument, we'll say Michigan because it's the best state.
Sure.
Um, they go to U of M or Michigan State or some shit, right?
Hmm.
President Fascist locks down the state, and now they have to use their self-interested powers together to rescue their children.
But that doesn't spark a civil war.
It doesn't, but that's the only scenario where I can realistically see them do that, and it's basically equating to a sitcom plot.
So the only thing that I can think of
Yeah.
would be if a hyper fascist president decided that they wanted to entirely dissolve the system of states as a concept.
That's good. That's really good.
But it's like dumb. It's very dumb and nonsensical.
It would never happen because that's basically like the foundation of the whole country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, let's face it, right? Like, California has an earthquake.
Mhm.
Texas would throw a fit. Texans in general would throw a fit if they had to cover that damages like California citizens do to like cover damages whenever an earthquake happens in general there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rest of the country would throw a bitch fit over that.
We'll have to see, I suppose.
Truly, they
Something
have
else
to
we'll have
be.
to see.
Oh, go on.
Oh no, go for it.
I was about to say, truly, they have to be like a 500 IQ and a thorough understanding of politics to make this very realistic scenario happen.
Yeah. Uh,
That's like saying Michigan and
uh,
Florida come together.
yes. Yeah.
We put aside our different peninsula ways to become one super peninsula. Not happening, by the way,
The
because we're
the
obviously the better one.
the peninsular states.
Seriously, like no one addresses the fact that Florida and Michigan are peninsula states, and we're
Yeah.
also like We should just have like a bloodbath rival over that.
It is very funny. I'm curious. What's Florida's motto? Because oh, that's not what I wanted to do.
I can think of what Florida's motto is, and I'm not saying it publicly.
Oh, that's lame as hell.
What is it?
No way.
What is it?
Hold on. I gotta make sure this is like not. No, it's a Florida's motto is just "In God We Trust."
Boo!
Fucking lame.
If you seek a pleasant peninsula, look about you, you fucking losers.
Seriously. I did accidentally like close a bunch of tabs though.
Oh no.
It was yeah, moving too quick. Yeah. So get fucked, Florida. We're better.
Literally, since day one. Where is your beaver? What is your capital GDP on beaver fur throughout history?
Seriously.
Yeah. You ever had to like fight off angry Canadians? Neither have we, 'cause we're good neighbors.
Yeah. Now Ohio, fuck those guys.
Fuck Ohio too. It's Michigan versus everybody. This show is the most unhinged pure Michigan ad.
All right. I want to talk Helldivers a bit. I'm playing it a lot the last couple weeks.
Okay.
Have you heard enough about it? Do you like get the concept? You want me to go
Uh,
through it?
I just think Halo ODST, pretty much.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like Halo, but Starship Troopers
Okay. Yes, I remember you
has
mentioning
that
this.
like yeah Starship Troopers type satire. Um, Notably though, much more so than that, is the fact that it is a $40 live service online only game that is not predatory in its microtransactions. It's like somehow they've made the only good live service game at like an ethical level where they have battle passes and, cash shot microtransactions, but it's all implemented in a way that's completely fair, where there is no FOMO. The battle passes don't ever go away. There's no time limit on them. They just sit there and you unlock them as you want to.
Ethics in my video
The
games.
currency that
Yeah.
you use to buy the battle pass initially and also then progress it is earned in game. So you don't have to spend any money other than the initial $40 if you don't want to. You can just find the premium currency in the game and spend it on whatever you want. And it's kind
hmm
of
hmm
wild.
hmm I don't believe you.
I know. It doesn't sound real.
It doesn't sound profitable.
I know. I'm actually curious. How good are they doing? Because I would imagine for most games, it's probably not. But they have been popping the fuck off.
So hear me out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, how much of their staff have they laid off to sustain this game model?
Mm-hmm. None.
Fuck off! Stop lying to me. How much of their staff
Mm-hmm.
have they get laid off?
They haven't. No. They haven't
Chiral,
made it
it's
to.
impossible to make video games profitable nowadays.
They have found the way to do it, apparently.
No, they haven't. You see, EA is a company that I've heard of,
Mm-hmm.
and they choose to do business by putting out substandard quality in search of profits, and maximize all their profit revenue potentials in the game.
Yeah.
And then if they don't make what the imaginary numbers say they should make,
Mm-hmm.
then someone's got to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Not the person who picked the imaginary numbers, but the bigger numbers. We only
I'm
have
actually
one
curious.
Daryl in sales marketing. We have a ton of different Jerrys up there in the programming department.
It's always the fucking Swedes. Have you noticed that? It's always the Swedes.
What do you mean?
I'm gonna double check this, but I'm pretty sure it's always the Swedes. Where did it go? Baldur's Gate 3. It's not. Why is it just give me Larian? I want Larian. I thought that would get me there, but it didn't. Okay, I was mistaken. Unless this guy is Swedish. No, he's he's from Belgium. We're okay. It's not always the Swedes.
Mm, mm,
But notably, Helldivers Studio is independent.
mm,
So
mm.
Helldivers 2 is made and produced by Arrowhead Games. They're a Swedish studio of about 100 people who are independent.
Well, that's nice.
Yep.
How are they making money? Are they just
By
poor?
making a good game that people want to buy.
People don't want
I
to
know
buy
it's a bit
video
old
games.
school, but I'll say they is a good example of how much more successful this game has been than they possibly could have expected. In the first couple of weeks, I first heard about it because so many people were trying to play the games that the servers were crashing.
Nice.
They peaked at about 450,000 people active at the same time on just Steam. And they since have had that number taper off a bit as people have, picked up other stuff. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. So they had so many people playing the game that they didn't allocate enough server space for them. Um, it's kind of fascinating. I won't be surprised at all if, like, in about a month, I think this is probably going to be one of the best live service games that is going to be available.
That's a bold
They've
claim.
I know, but they've demonstrated that they are comfortable with a less profitable microtransaction structure that is not disrespectful of the players. They have a really good balance of it being fun, having that like fun loot box kind of feeling to it, right? Where you get to open the new thing and play with the new thing
Hmm.
without it being so predatory, right? That you feel like you have to pay real money to get it. Um, and at the same time the gameplay of it hits a really good mix in, like you're saying, that like Halo Call of Duty kind of space where the themes are really strong for that, and there's not really a good live service game for that kind of player other than like literally just Call of Duty. And even then I have a hard time calling that a live service game. That's more of a live service cash grab.
I was about to say because like it's kind of like a forgotten era of video games right now, just
Yeah.
because like how esports have evolved. But like
Hmm.
those old like what's the word I'm looking for? MLG style shooters. I
Hmm.
think there's definitely a market for those still.
Yep. Definitely is. And this is not really that. This is all
No.
PvE, so very
Yeah.
different. But game's fun. Unfortunately, it's very buggy right now, and a part of that may just be because of the scale of the number of people playing it that they just weren't ready for. But there's lots of problems, and those will need to be fixed out. But it seems like they can be fixed, so that's good. Like if the number one problem playing your game is that people can't play enough of it, that's a good sign.
I don't know because there's another release that came out this week that I would say has that problem, but
What's that?
the Battlefront situation.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, it's very dumb, but it kind of is. I'll say the bigger problem is that the original version of it apparently runs better.
Are you kidding me?
Apparently.
Okay, so Star Wars Battlefront 3 came back out, and Battlefront 2 is back. Congratulations, everybody. It's back. Um, However, there's a couple of issues with the servers. There's only three of them.
Yeah.
And care to guess how many players can be on one server at a time?
Mm, what? So they had like about 10,000 people wanting to play, right?
Yeah.
So it would be like about 3,500?
Fuck off. No, 64.
64.
How dare you get greedy? This is a PlayStation 2 game we're talking about.
Yep, yep. I did hear that notably this game has informed a lot of people who are active on like Steam that apparently Steam's little like review rating thing where it's like positive, overwhelmingly positive, negative, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, there's the option for it to go to overwhelmingly negative.
Good.
I'm curious if it's still there like that. But
Like,
yeah, I hadn't seen that before, and apparently a lot of other people hadn't either.
you've got to fuck up spectacularly for that option to show up.
Yeah.
So, do you think it's the publisher's fault for not getting the servers, or it's the dev's fault?
I feel like it would have to be on. I want to say a little bit of both, but I don't think that's fair to the developers.
I think it's very hard to put blame on the developers because they're the ones who handle the code and
Yeah.
all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't exactly have the money in the
It,
relationship.
it seems like such a fundamental oversight, right? They had 364 player servers. You're making a game. Do you want more than what, 180 plus 12,
192.
192? Do you want more than 192 people playing your game? If the
Yes.
answer is yes, you need more servers, and that means more money, and that part would come from the publisher. But I don't understand how, from like a developer perspective, they could have let it get to that point in the first place. Like that just seems like almost maliciously bad. I don't know.
I don't know. It's so hard who to point blame at. Because,
Yeah.
like, if you're also pointing this at the publisher, right?
Right.
That means they only expected about 192 sales.
Right. Which makes no sense.
Yeah. Because then they'd be like losing money. I'm pretty sure at that on that deal.
Yeah. Yeah. It just
Now,
doesn't make sense.
yeah,
Wait. It's 75 gigs. Yeah.
for a PlayStation 2 game.
It's 10 times the size.
So is this farming for some cryptocurrency on top of that? Because like, what the fuck is it doing with 75 gigs?
I don't know.
Java's got to have the most detailed render I've ever seen.
Wild. Yeah, if I don't know. I don't get how anybody could have not requested a refund for this at this point, but I guess people are gonna do what they're gonna do.
Sunk cost fallacy, my dude. They're trying to be one of the 192 to get on those servers.
Apparently.
Now, I might be bad at knowing how like computers work with this question, but
Hmm.
realistically, if you're on the server once and your game's over and whatnot, does it make you jump out of the server to get back into a new session per game? Or once you're in, you're pretty much in until you log out?
I would imagine you're in until you log out.
Same.
You know, who fucking knows at this point?
It kind of gets tiring to care so much.
Yeah. So on that note, let's stop giving a shit.
You read my mind, brother.
I do think that's all that I have though.
Cool. In that case, ever watch Monk?
Monk. Not like as a rule, but I've seen it a couple times when it just came on.
I was about to say it's been my thing lately because it's on
Yeah.
Netflix. It's very good, a
Ah,
lot better than I remember.
it's decent.
Yeah. I've been trying to like see if there's like an online consensus because it's in that sweet spot where the internet was starting to pick up. But it was such a niche time in the internet.
Mm.
I can't find many people talking about it, and it's so weird to me.
There was definitely a glut of sitcoms around that time.
Yeah, Monk wasn't like a traditional sitcom though.
No, but there's just so much competition for attention, right? That's more what I'm thinking.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Regardless, I've been pretty enjoying it. I found
That's good.
more video essays, and people talking about Columbo instead of Monk.
Yeah.
You ever watch Columbo, good sir?
Again, not like as a rule, but I have at times.
Very charming show.
Hmm.
I'm Miss Orion, and I am in my TV detective phase.
And I'm Cairo, and I'm also a Schmo.
This has been the Tishmo Show.